Good morning, friends. It's Mary back again from Rocky Mountain Gardens, and today I thought I would offer you another video about organizing in my craft room. And today I am planning to share with you how I organize my papers, both my cardstock and my designer papers. And if you're a paper crafter, you know that this can really get out of hand quickly, because if you love paper crafting, you love collecting those papers as well. So what I have done is organized my papers, my cardstock and my designer papers in different sections of my craft room. And I wanted to share with you how I do that, because I have my main goal being always to have these materials accessible to me when I'm in the middle of a project. That is number one in my planning for my craft room, because you know, if you're in the middle of a project and you're hunting around for something or digging through drawers, or also those different kinds of paper organizing systems where you put your papers inside plastic sleeves and you have to pull them out and dig out your papers. That to me is just simply too much trouble. So I really like having my papers just, you know, so easy to just grab, pull out a sheet of the color or the type that I want. That is what is important to me, accessibility. So I'm going to take my camera and give you a tour of those sections of my craft room where I store my paper. I do have quite a few of my papers stored over in this corner of my craft room, and I'm very fortunate to have this closet here. And we're going to open up the door and you will see inside is a very nice 4-drawer file cabinet. Now I store my 8.5 by 11 size cardstock in this cabinet, and I wanted to tell you, or make a recommendation, I guess I should say, that purchasing papers from one manufacturer can make your life a lot easier. And years ago, I started using Stampin' Up! Products because I had a girlfriend who was a demonstrator and went to her classes and started learning how to make greeting cards and so on. So I began purchasing and investing in Stampin' Up! Products. And I have pretty much stayed with them, particularly for my stamp stamp sets, but stamp pads and the cardstock. I really, really like their cardstock. So you can see here in this drawer, I have all of my colored cardstock, and I have them in file folders. So when I need a color for a project, I simply need to come to this drawer, and I have each of my file folders labeled. These are hanging folders, and I simply look. I have all of my blues here in the front, and then we move to purples, and then we go to pinks and reds, oranges and yellows, and then all of my greens are in the back here, several different shades of green. So I will purchase one package of Stampin' Up! Cardstock and make a label and place it here in that hanging folder, and then I have it easily accessible. You can see how it does not take much for me to be able to come to this file drawer, locate the color I'm looking for, and grab one sheet. I don't have to get into any other plastic containers or dig in a drawer, because it's all right there and labeled for me. I find this to be such a help when I'm working on a project. Now, in this file cabinet, in the third drawer down here, I also have additional papers. And I start here in the front with my Copic papers. You can see vellum, metallic papers. And then I go on to, these are all what I sort of consider neutrals. So I have, you know, browns and, let's see here if I can get in here, grays with the smoky gray, vanilla, which is a cream color, my blacks, dark browns, more grays. And then in the back here, what I have is an organization for my paper scraps that are from designer papers. And I have them organized by color families. And within each, I try to place papers that predominantly have red in them, or pink, or purples. And this enables me, if I need a designer paper scrap, I can come to this section of my file drawer and find it very easily. And again, everything is right there. Open the drawer, look for the correct file folder, and I'm good to go. And then, of course, when I have those scraps left over, I can come here and file them under the correct file color, blues, turquoise, greens, and so on. Lots of people are always wondering, how in the world can I store my scraps? And that is my solution for paper scraps. So you can see I have one drawer that is for my paper scraps and my neutrals, and then one drawer that we looked at up here at the top that has all of my colored papers. So easy to reach when you're busy working. You may be wondering, what does she store her 12 by 12 papers in? Well, I don't purchase very many 12 by 12 papers. Generally, on the rare occasion when I'm making a 12 by 12 scrapbook, I might purchase some single sheets, both in the designer papers and in cardstock. So what I have done here is I bought one of these plastic crates that are very inexpensive. You can get them at Walmart or Target. And then I purchased hanging folders, and these hanging folders are the ones that are for legal size paper. And so they're, I think, 11 by 17, something like that. You can see they're quite long, and they fit on this little rail here that is built into the plastic crate. And I have the hanging folders here, and I have just gathered my designer papers that I have bought a single sheet at a time, and I have placed them by color family again. And I don't have them labeled because you can see at a glance that the papers are, you can easily see the colors within each folder. And they are taller than the size of the folder, the 12 by 12 size sheets, but that's okay. They stand up nicely in this file. And I started here with turquoises and blues, pinks, and each one of these groups is in its own separate file folder. Remember, these are the legal size. And I simply have greens here, purples, reds, and then we move to oranges and yellows, browns, blacks. And in the back here, I have one folder that is more holiday or seasonal centered. And then back in the very back, I have some Bow Bunny packs of papers that I opened. And then I said, ooh, where am I going to put those? They're out of their little plastic things, and so I went ahead and placed them in their own little folder as a group. But this is a wonderful way if you've got those sort of single sheet 12 by 12 designer papers hanging around. This is an inexpensive way to go ahead and organize them in a file. Again, very accessible. I find myself when I'm in the middle of a project, it could be some kind of album, scrapbooking kind of album that I've made, or a 12 by 12 album that I'm in the process of doing, and I'm like, oh, I need some blue. I need some kind of blue floral. This is one place I can go quickly, look in my blue file to see if I have a blue floral. And if I don't, I have another place that I go to look, which I'll show you next. But before we go over there, I wanted to show you, I have these files here, and I have them labeled with solid colored cardstock, 12 by 12s, those happen to be, and specialty papers. And these are 12 by 12. You can see here, they're quite large. And I simply placed my papers, and I have, starting with white here and going to pink, turquoises and blues, purples, oranges, yellows, greens. You can see how I just kind of group them, because these are cardstock pieces that I just purchased one sheet at a time, maybe at Joann's when they would be having a sale, or Hobby Lobby or Michael's when they're having a sale. And I'm thinking, oh, I'm working on a project, I might need some 12 by 12 red cardstock. So then I go and buy a small amount of them, maybe some burgundies, some Christmas red, just place them in here, and then they're ready to go if I need them for a project. Next, this box is specialty papers, as you can see right here. And this is where I keep my 12 by 12 more expensive papers that you can get at Hobby Lobby and so on. This is almost a sort of like a fabric styled paper that I've gotten, and I often use this on binders, or sorry, the binding of an album that I'm making. But you know, I have foiled papers in here and foil metallic kind of papers. I have, you know, different kinds. These are with glitter, another glitter sheet. Some of them just have some interesting designs on them, metallic. And these pre-cut sheets. So anything that's unusually, it's a little bit more expensive. I only buy them on sale, of course. I have lots of metallic here in the back. Those all go into the specialty paper file. So that's how I store those papers. And they're right here on a shelf, right here at waist height. I can stand here and just flip through each of these sections if I'm looking for a specific paper color or paper design. So that's my second area of my craft room where I store my papers. My third and last area of my craft room is back in the corner where we were earlier by my file cabinet. And here I have stored my paper pads of designer papers. And as you can see, I purchased these cubes from Michael's several years ago when they were having a big sale right around Christmas time for crafting storage. So look for those sales. You can always get them very inexpensively, and then you just assemble the cubes yourself. And I really like having my paper pads standing up. It's almost like a bookshelf, so you're able to go ahead and grab an individual paper pad and slide it out and have a look at what it is exactly, and then, you know, take it out of that storage area, look through it for a paper that you might be trying to find for your project. So I have my first section here with Christmas paper. This section, of course I just know it since I use it all the time, is other holidays like Valentine's and Halloween. And then starting here, I have what I call double-sided paper. You probably know that some of the companies who make designer paper do make double-sided paper, and others make single-sided. And the single-sided is often less expensive. So I do have quite a few pads of that type of paper that I purchased like at Joann's or Michael's over the years. And I have quite a collection. I have quite a few things here. I have a lot of Disney stuff because I have made scrapbooks for my nieces and for my daughter. And then if we slide down here, I have another cube right here on the floor. And in this cube, I have in this first section all of the specialty paper, different types of glitter paper. For example, this one. And so this is where those kind of specialty papers are housed. And in these last three sections, I just have various single-sided pads of paper that just have to do with many different types of themes, I guess you might say. This is a floral one, and you might notice that I have it upside down. The reason I put pads upside down sometimes is because when I have used some of the papers in the pad, and let's see, oh, I guess I pulled out two here. Let me grab this one. You can see there's a little piece sticking out. It's a partial sheet. I just place it right back in that pad, and then by filing it upside down, I am able to keep from smushing any of the ends that might be sticking out in that paper collection. So that's just another little trick for how you can protect your papers in your scraps that you might want to keep housed with the paper pad collection that it belongs to. So here I have one cube and then a second cube here with lots of paper pads. And as you can see sitting on top here, I have some Heartfelt Creation pads that I was using recently, so they haven't been filed back yet. I'd like to thank you all for stopping by and watching this video. I hope it was able to offer you a few tips or tricks that you can use in your craft room as well. I know that I have watched a lot of YouTube videos and, you know, gone to craft shows, craft weekends, and talking to a lot of my friends and all the different methods people use. I find that these are the best for me. And as I said, my 100% goal is to make all of my tools that I use for my crafting accessible, easily accessible. So I hope, like I said, that you enjoyed this little video. This is number 2 in my series on organizing my craft room. I believe my next video will be on organizing my embellishments, and I hope I can offer you some more easy tips and tricks for that as well. So see you then, and I hope you're all having a wonderful February.